All right, so I wanted to make a video now that I've hit 55,000 miles on this motorcycle. I wanted to show kind of what sort of things you can expect in owning a commuter bike like this. So 55079 on the dash. This is a 2021 CBR500R, and I've ridden this motorcycle for all 55,079 miles. It's a pretty good bike, but I think I ought to talk about the things you need to know going into riding a motorcycle like this. My biggest complaint on this bike, and it's it's in a state of disrepair. I actually just got better. I fell over off of my bike. I hit gravel, but the bike usually runs fine. This is the OEM brake reservoir. It's very good quality. Same with the rear, but unfortunately, the quality in brakes isn't matched by the quality of the brake system. This is the OEM brake caliper. This is a Nissan floating brake caliper. On the 21 model, there's only one of them. On the 22 models and beyond, there's one on both sides. Somewhere between the 21 and the 25 models, they decided to make them fixed brake calipers, which means that there's pistons on this side and on the opposing side. This model only has pistons on this side, and that's a major problem. After 10,000 miles, this piece in the middle, there's a bolt here that allows it to move from side to side. That's how it works with a floating brake caliper. It pushes one side and then it kind of pulls the other side in, and that's how you get contact on both sides. If that doesn't work, then you get this. So these are the front brake pads that I pulled off recently, and if you can see, it's shaved off more on the bottom than on the top. And it's the same on this side too. It's shaved off more up here than down here. And that's because when these were in, if you can imagine this, I'll get the other one. So, well, I was right. This one sits about like this. And the issue was this side was moving more smoothly on the floating brake caliper than this side bolt was. And so this side would lean in some and then finally drag this side over, and the reverse happened down here. And so unfortunately, it wore my brake pads sideways. That's something you can expect with these floating brake calipers, and it's the same in the front and the rear. In fact, the rear brake caliper here was seized for a while, and so it was only pushing on this side. This side wasn't sliding over, and so it was just pushing. And the end result was this. So this is the side that was over here, and it's still got pretty much factory life. You see, it's nice and thick. And then this side is the side that was on this side. And so unfortunately, it was sitting like that. Unfortunately, I had very uneven wear, where this one is pretty much gone, and this one is pretty much brand new. That's one of my major gripes with Honda on this model. On the 21 through 25 models, they're still using one rear brake caliper, and it's a floating brake caliper just like this. So that can probably happen to you. That started happening at around 10,000 miles on both of these. I've had the front mess with a lot because I need my front brakes. You know, I hardly ever use my rear brakes, which is probably why they seized. You wouldn't have this problem on a bike with fixed brake calipers though, because the brake caliper doesn't need to be able to slide. It's just there, and then the pistons do all the work. And these are great reservoir. I mean, this reservoir is plastic and it's been messed up. I mean, you can't see anything because it's fallen apart, but the inside is fine. And the front brake caliper, or the front brake brake fluid reservoir up here is just fine. It's seen some damage. This is brand new, the damage, but it does its job just fine. I'm gonna actually replace this in a couple of days here. But in terms of engine quality, really good engine quality. I've replaced this right crankcase side. Just because I've wore through it before. I fell one time a long time ago. This is just a recent crash. It's ridiculous, but the engine quality itself is wonderful. I've dropped this bike 6 times now, and the engine is still doing fine. The frame is fine. The frame is nice, sturdy, diamond steel, very good frame. This is the factory exhaust. I, very long time ago, took the factory add-on part off, and it's just been open like this for a while. And I've not had any problems with loss of oil or anything. It does just fine, just like this. So if you're worried about running your motorcycle for 55,000 miles without a slip-on, I'm here to tell you it doesn't seem to matter. I just had them do a valve clearance maintenance on this bike, and my valves were within spec, and it was the first valve clearance maintenance that I've ever done on this motorcycle. So 55,000 miles, the engine didn't seem to care. The one thing that did fail was this little gasket here. This gasket failed. I run seafoam through my motorcycle once every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, pretty much right before I do the oil change. And this seal failed probably from the seafoam. So just bear that in mind. If you're using seafoam in this bike, you're probably going to have a gasket seal failure somewhere around 50,000 miles. But I mean, that's 50,000 miles. I mean, you know, just take it in when you do your valve clearance maintenance and you're fine. Now, you'll notice that this bike is almost completely missing plastics, and the few plastics that are on it are not the OEM. So this and that, they both came from add-on set, and this one's all messed up because I just crashed, but it was already messed up to begin with. Reason being, the plastics on this bike are absolutely terrible. So even the plastics that came with the bike, like this is the OEM plastic part here for the rear. This is the OEM plastic piece here. This is probably the most flexible piece of plastic that came with the bike. My OEM fairings all failed within the first 15,000 miles pretty much. Even just debris on the road, if I hit a piece of gravel and it threw it into the fairing, it would take off a whole chunk of fairing. These are the most brittle plastics that I've ever had on a bike, and you can see like this is a very common breakage. It's not just me. I know there's a lot of 500R riders who are complaining about this. The plastic is so brittle here that just the vibration from, you know, sitting on it and the engine and everything were enough to break this, and now there's no point in even bolting it down because the plastic is broken. You'll notice my seat is all worn. This because I've sat on that seat for 55,000 miles. It's done a pretty good job, actually. This lasted up until about 5,000 miles ago. So for 50,000 miles, you get a nice seat. I'm going to replace this soon, but I'm going to do everything all at once pretty much. What else? In terms of how much braking you get out of a bike like this, it's okay for street, but it's not great for track. I've taken this bike to the track twice. The second time I was pushing competitive speeds, and for one, when you have brake calipers that have problems like I showed you, when you're on the track and you're at 80-90% braking, there's actually a braking induced oscillation when you have this kind of fixed or floating brake caliper and it has those issues. It'll make the front of the bike oscillate like this, and it translates to kind of a death wobble kind of shake. So if you plan on getting a commuter bike that you want to be able to take to the track and actually push really hard, then you might want to make sure that commuter bike comes with fixed brake calipers. Now, the newer models do, which is good. The 25 model comes with fixed brake calipers. I don't know about the 21 through 24, but or the 22 through 24, but this is a 21 and it didn't come with that, and it makes a difference on the track. In terms of the switches and stuff, these switches suck. They get stuck so much. I'm just about to replace this. I just ordered a replacement for this one. This one is the one that came with it, and I mean, it's a guessing game to see whether or not I actually get brights. As a matter of fact, let's see. They might turn on. Okay, yeah, they turned on. But I mean, there's been plenty of times where I push this switch and nothing has happened. And if I push too hard, it'll actually turn off again. So I'm getting lucky now, it's actually working, but there are plenty of times where it doesn't work. So if you're getting a bike and you want it to be super reliable, the engine on these bikes is absolutely reliable. The frame is plenty reliable, but the electronics package is not great. Let me just give you a rundown of kind of the reliability of the cables. So I've had my throttle cable snap once, which I'm about to replace these. This is all just damage from my most recent wreck. That was like a week ago. But I've already replaced the throttle cable once. I've replaced the clutch cable once. Actually, I replaced each of these once. So the return cable and the throttle actual cable when you want to accelerate have been replaced once, and then the clutch cable has been replaced once as well, all from snapping. The throttle cables all snapped deeper towards the engine, and the clutch cable snapped right here twice. So whatever the design is right here, that's you know, wherever there's a little bit of friction in here somewhere, it's causing snappage, which isn't great. So that's something you need to think about if you get a bike like this. You know, it's not a huge deal. It snapped. This clutch cable actually snapped twice. Once when I want to say around 30,000 miles, 30 or 35,000 miles, and then once again at 50,000 miles. So it's not something that's going to happen as soon as you get the bike, but whatever the design situation is with these cables, my personal view, it's probably because these cables were made in Thailand. A lot of the stuff that was OEM that was made in Thailand is not very good. You can see it says Thai right there. Like, I'm not making this up. The cables are made out of Thai steel. They're even putting it on here, you know, Thai steel cable, you know, Thai steel cable PCO. So, you know, they're making it very clear these cables are made in Thailand. I don't want to talk bad about Thai people. I'm sure they're great people, but in terms of their cables, they're not very good. Now, with that said, they still last 35,000 miles at least. So 35,000 mile cable is not terrible. Really, these cables should last 100,000, but 35 is pretty good. And even after my most recent crash, this throttle still functioned enough to get me home. So, you know, I can't complain too much there. The glass here breaks really easily. So this is just from me doing that. So normally this is mounted here, and just this making contact right here with the plastic. It wasn't making contact with the glass, just with the plastic. You can see where the plastic's worn away. That was enough to crack this. So again, if you're going to get this bike, you might want to get a protector here, one of those rubber pads to dampen some of the shock, or I don't know. I don't really think it could have been prevented because I was making contact here, not here. But in any case, just be aware that's probably going to happen. Oh, these are clip-ons that I added. It's going to come with bars that are an extra 2 inches high. It's going to give you much greater room here. You'll be able to rotate this farther, but the trade-off is it's a terrible position for riding any kind of sporty way. You know, those really high clip-ons that it comes with that are about 2 inches taller make it very difficult on the track. That's why I added these. I'm comfortable riding with these commuting, and when I go to the track, I don't have to, you know, have my wrist above my head when I'm trying to lean into a corner. So just be aware of the design circumstances here. In terms of rideability, this is a wonderful motorcycle to ride on. It's super comfortable. I posted some other videos where I've been riding Spirited on this motorcycle. I'm going to post even more in a little while here. And it's a very comfortable bike. I took the rear mounts off for passenger, but I mean, I've had people on here before and they've not had any problems in terms of comfort. So if it's something that you want to be able to use for true commuting, and especially commuting with other people, I think it'd be fine. I've tied all sorts of stuff to my motorcycle, and I really mean all sorts of stuff. Boxes, 55-gallon barrels. This seat is very sturdy. You can use it for whatever kind of moving stuff you need to do. So I wouldn't worry there. The bracket here is terrible. I'm not going to show you my license plate, but I will show you the bracket. And I probably already showed it. I already probably put it online. Oh well. The bracket here is terrible. And there's another issue with the plastics. You see, just riding, the gravel and stuff has cracked this back piece of plastic. So that kind of sucks. But I had to weld some stuff up and use this because there is no bracket for this bike. So just be ready to have to make some mods. In terms of the other stuff, it's a pretty pretty good ergonomics in terms of your brakes and your shift lever and stuff. So the shift lever is pretty good here. It works well if you're wearing boots. It doesn't really work well if you're wearing shoes, at least not for me. I've not had very good luck wearing shoes, but I don't usually wear shoes when I'm riding anyway. I wear boots almost always. It's made out of really malleable metal, which is great because I bent this back and forth over and over. You can see this one got bent, and I'm going to bend it back in just a little while, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. So it's great if you need to get a bike where you're probably going to drop it a couple of times. This bike is great because almost all of the metals on here are malleable. I wish I could say the same with the plastic, but you can see like this got damaged in also a recent fall. I've been taken out twice in 2 weeks by road debris, but you can see I just replaced the clutch lever and it's fine. Like this is fine. I wouldn't be able to say that about like a Kawasaki Ninja 300 or something. I've had a Ninja 300 and not great results there. In terms of the tires, I think the tire size is fine on these. It has the same front tire size as a 600RR. On the rear, it's a little bit thinner, but there's still pretty good traction as long as you're not driving over road debris. And I've not had really any issues there. I ride with a sport touring tire on the rear and a sport tire on the front. I can get about, I want to say about 12,000 miles out of the front on a sport tire. And I can get about 7,000 or 8,000 miles out of the rear on a sport touring tire. Now that's commuting. What you're going to get is going to be based on what kind of tire you get and whether or not you are commuting, you know, or just gunning it everywhere and dragging the tire through corners and stuff. And I do some pretty, you know, my bike is beat up, not because I don't know how to ride. I mean, if I can say so myself, I'm pretty good at riding, and I put this bike through a lot of strain, but it does the job, which is exactly why I bought it. In terms of, gas mileage, that's something I should talk about. So I've ridden for 55,000 miles, and my gas mileage is pretty consistently 55 miles per gallon. It should show that up here. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, so 54.4 right now. Usually it's about 55. When I'm doing commuting, like just when I say commuting, I mean long distance highway riding. I can get upwards of 56 miles per gallon. When I'm in the city, it goes down, but not appreciably, probably 52 or 53 miles per gallon. So anyway, if you're looking at a Honda CBR500R and you really want a bike that's rugged and reliable and whatnot, it's probably a pretty good option. And if you want to take it to the track every once in a while, you can. It's not going to be the best bike for tracking, and at a certain point you're going to hit an upper threshold where the brakes that Honda chooses to put on their bikes and the ergonomics are not going to work out very well for you, and you might have to make some changes. I've made some changes to the ergonomics. I'm putting up with the brakes for now, but you know, overall I think this is a really good bike for beginners and for experienced riders. This is my I guess this will be my fourth bike. I've had a Ninja 300, a CBR500RA, CBR600RA, and then this one. And I actually really like this bike in terms of rideability. The 300R is still my favorite, though. They did a lot better quality on that bike. But this is a good bike. If there's any questions, post them in a comment, and I'll answer them. I'm posting this in case anyone needs the information. Oh, as the last thing, I just replaced my fork seals here. They failed at just about 50,000 miles. So that's 2 years of riding for me. It's 21, but I bought it in 22. So 22, 23, well actually, so I guess 3 years of riding. 22, 23, and 24, and it just started with 25. But I got to 24 right as the fork seals failed. So 3 years and 50,000 miles, or give or take, maybe 45,000 miles of riding before the fork seals failed, which is pretty good considering that I live on a dirt road. So yeah, I'm an agricultural guy. I live way out here. This bike makes it just fine out here. It makes it just fine on the highway. It makes it pretty well on the track. So I think that's a good summary for it. If you have any questions, post them in a comment. Have a good day.